Hi, man, peace. So the Ball family has been a major narrative that has been perpetuated by the NBA mass media over the course of this season. Due to the boisterous and cantankerous nature of LaVar Ball, and also due to the expectations that have been placed upon his son Lonzo, due to his brags and his boasts. Well, the entire family has had their share of ups and downs throughout this season, but it seems as if they're starting to be redeemed due to the fact that they have stayed loyal to each other and to whatever their program is for the success of their family. LaVar Ball has been redeemed due to statements that he made regarding his middle son LiAngelo and the reason why he was released from China. And now Lonzo Ball is starting to be redeemed because of his outstanding play. As a rookie, he seems to have turned the corner, and he's understanding what is being asked of him to a far greater extent. Anyway, they're going to talk about it. I'm going to chime in.
Antonietta, thank you kindly. Lonzo Ball in action over the weekend, getting hot from three and rallying his Lakers past the Spurs. According to the Elias Sports Bureau, Ball became the first Laker in franchise history to hit at least 6 3-pointers and dish out 11 assists in a game. He finished with 18 points, 11 assists, 7 rebounds, 2 blocks. As the Lakers won their 5th consecutive game, Stephen A. Smith, they are surging. And are you buying the Lonzo hype?
Not yet. I like what I'm seeing, and it's been impressive over the last few games. I will openly confess to you, I'm getting very, very annoyed about the subject of Lonzo Ball for 2 reasons.
Well, you can't be getting that annoyed about the subject of Lonzo Ball because you wrote this segment into the show. You have creative control over the show, bro. So you're not that annoyed about the subject of Lonzo Ball.
Number one, I'm not rooting against the kid.
Allegedly. Even though I have a hard time believing that, seeing as within 2 weeks of the NBA season, you were stating that he might be a bust. So I don't understand how someone could make those type of assertions so early in the NBA season and not be rooting against a certain player.
I'm like everybody else practically in the basketball world who's rooting for the kid.
Well, we know for a fact that not everyone in the basketball world is rooting for Lonzo Ball, and beyond that, it's not your job to root for or against him. You're a member of the quote-unquote fourth estate, the media. It's your job to report the facts, not to root for or against.
Because he's got a great personality, seems to be a really good kid.
How do you know how great his personality is, Stephen A. Smith? Do you really know him? What we can say about Lonzo Ball is that he's very measured, he's moderate, and those are certain components that will show out on the basketball court, but you don't really know him to say that he has a great personality.
Stuck in a situation because his father's a highly loquacious individual.
I don't think that he's stuck in a situation. I think that stuck in a situation, when I think of an applicable scenario for a term like that, maybe if you're one of 8 children living in a 2-bedroom house in the projects or 2-bedroom apartment in the projects, that's stuck in a situation. Being 19, 20 years old in the NBA, making 7 figures, and your family is starting their own business, that's not stuck in a situation. That's just going through life and finding your way. And you're in far better stead than 98% of the world.
That's unapologetic about his take on things, and he will say what he wants to say, when he wants to say it, how he wants to say it, and call out whoever he damn well chooses.
That's right. That's why he's very polarizing. That's why you guys were infatuated with him for a long time until you realized that he was not going to conform and he was not going to fold. Just like every other bully. Once the bully realizes that you're not going to fold, he moves on to someone who he knows he can bully. The media sees that they cannot bully LaVar Ball. So now they have to relent and find someone else to try to pick on.
I mean, he gives, he personifies what a maverick is all about. He does things his way. And his sons are going to succumb to that.
Are they going to succumb to it, or are they going to flourish because of it? We'll see.
So in that regard, I don't root against Lonzo.
Allegedly.
All I've ever said was that the shot was ugly, which we all knew and acknowledged. But
well, shit, Stephen A. I saw you at the Houston Rockets practice with James Harden, and I mean, your jump shot looked like you had Tourette syndrome or something. You was just all type of breaks in your movement.
But number two, and more importantly, There's a level of assertiveness and aggressiveness that you have to show. You're the number 2 overall pick in the draft. You are drafted by the greatest point guard in NBA history. You are a point guard yourself from Chino Hills. You're a UCLA product. LA box office. It was a business decision to bring him on as the number 2 overall pick. He's got to show up and be assertive. And my problem with him was the lack of assertiveness. But
well, it's not really up to you to have a problem with his quote-unquote lack of assertiveness unless you understand the system that they're trying to run and what his role is. I stated this in the previous video. You can only criticize a player if they're not fulfilling their role. Now, I do agree that early on in the season, Lonzo was a bit sheepish, but I think that also had to do with his lack of confidence in his jump shot. In the offseason, he does need to smooth out his jump shot form, and he does need to improve his ability to finish at the basket. Those are 2 things that he needs to work on. Other than that, his all-around floor game, you can make a case that he, as far as his all-around floor game, that he's one of the top 15 to 20 players in the NBA. And that might sound like a lot, but when you view how well he plays defense, how well he rebounds, how well he passes, what he brings to the floor, right now you can make the case that he's one of the top 20 all-around players in the NBA. Most of these point guards do not play defense on anywhere near the level that Lonzo Ball is playing defense right now. So that's definitely a start.
But the reason number 2 that I'm so annoyed about talking about him is because, look, last 3 games, this dude shoots 3 for 3 from 3-point range, 2 for 3 against Miami, and hit 6 3-pointers last night. It's very, very impressive. He shoots 36% on the field, 33% from 3-point range. We all know, and those numbers have improved. So we're sitting here and we're doing everything we can to make a big deal out of anything we see from him.
Are you really going out of your way to make a big deal about anything good that you're seeing from him, or are you just being forced to acquiesce to what is going on, which is that he's improving by leaps and bounds, and you'd be doing yourself and your viewers a disservice if you didn't talk about it, because the Lakers have one of the top 3 sports brands in America. You can't spend the first 2 months of the season talking about him like shit and then act like you don't see it when he's playing well. You'd be doing yourself a disservice, because you know that the Lakers move the needle ratings-wise. So you have to mention him, Stephen A. Don't act like you're doing it out of the kindness of your heart.
Because we know what kind of situation he was placed in because of his daddy's mouthing off.
Yeah, he was put in a terrible situation by his daddy. Pick number 2 in the draft, going to the LA Lakers, raised in a stable home. Yeah, man, terrible situation.
And that's what I'm saying. It's like, listen, I'm just judging ball. I know what I'm looking at. And averaging 10, 7, and 7, while impressive in some respects, there have been quite a few times this year where he hasn't been impressive. But since he's been back, he's been impressive. And if he plays like this, he's validating his worth. But he hadn't until now.
It's been some draft, by the way. I think we're going to look back at this draft and be like, whew, a lot of talent came out of this draft.
Yeah.
And you know what? You say it's a business decision. The business of the Los Angeles Lakers and Magic Johnson, and it even predates Magic Johnson, is winning championships.
Okay.
That's why they drafted Lonzo Ball. Lonzo Ball, if his father was someone else, like where no one knew who his father was, probably would have been drafted in the top 3. Lonzo Ball was a star in college.
Absolutely. Lonzo Ball was getting attention long before anyone knew who LaVar Ball was. As a matter of fact, LaVar Ball got attention because of Lonzo Ball's play, not the other way around. LaVar Ball first came into prominence through TMZ, not through ESPN. TMZ, and I believe it was Van Lathan, was the first interview that LaVar Ball ever did. And it was because of LaVar Ball's extremely outgoing personality that he caught on, first with TMZ and then on many of these sports talk panel shows. And it was because of his son's play. It wasn't that LaVar built up his son's name and then they became aware of Lonzo. It was through Lonzo's play at UCLA that, provided the opportunity for LaVar to show his own personality.
And a pure point guard, always looking to get everyone involved. And the Lakers have been looking for a point guard since they made the trade for CP3, which the league undid. They followed that up by bringing in Steve Nash. It turned out to be the remains of Steve Nash, but no one knew it at the time. They then drafted D'Angelo Russell, right? Because not Okafor, not Porzingis, Russell, because you see which way the league is going. You need a dynamic point guard who can get people involved, move the ball, shoot the 3. Russell's personality, whatever, didn't work out, and now they're trying Lonzo Ball. And I'm here to tell you, I think it worked with Lonzo Ball.
I think that Russell's going to end up being a serviceable player also. I don't think he's going to be ever going to be considered a great player because he's not athletic enough to truly be a starter on a championship level team. He's just too slow and he can't guard anybody. But he can shoot. He's greatly improved his three-point shooting. And he's going to be serviceable in the league for a while.
By the way, our analytics department here at ESPN, Ben Alamar and them, loved Lonzo coming out of college as a very high pick. And he's justifying it.
Look at that defense. He's on point with a lot of his defense now. Many people will say, well, look at what Damian Lillard did to him when Portland played the Lakers. That's going to happen in the NBA. All these guys light each other up. But when you can make signature defensive plays like that, that's where you're going to equalize your importance on the court with a player like a Steph Curry or Damian Lillard. Because they're not going to make those type of standout defensive plays on a consistent basis. They have too much energy to expend on the offensive end. And quite frankly, they don't have the height or the length to do certain things like Lonzo's going to be able to do. Blocking point guard shots at the rim and stuff like that.
What's changed recently is the shot is falling. And that's always been the question with Lonzo. You brought up, Stephen A., where he shoots it from, giving defenses a chance. But also it's
and aggressiveness.
But I'm talking about just in terms of the shot. It's a weird cross-body shot. You have to tear it all down to build it back up. That's going to be a long-term project. Or he's been hitting it his whole life. He may be streaky with it. To hell with it. Let him shoot that shot. Because since that shot's been falling, everyone has a different perception. He's still the same guy. Assists, rebounds, all those kind of things. But the shot's starting to fall.
Exactly.
Let's keep in mind, this guy is 20 years old.
Thank you, sir.
And he's on a team now since January 6th, and I realize that predates his coming back. They have the second best record in the NBA.
Yeah, but I still think you let them off. I still think you let...
And that's why that Portland loss was a big loss for the Lakers. That was a big loss for them. Because I still believe they have a very, very slim, but they had an outside shot at making the playoffs until that loss. Now, to me, they're pretty much out.
Letting them off when you bring that up because no one is talking about... Nobody looked at Lonzo Ball and said he's a finished product. What we're saying is we have the right... You look at it, the fact that he's 20 years old. But damn it, Jason Tatum's 19. So what I'm saying to you is that...
Right, but what does that even mean? Jason Tatum was playing well for the first 2 months of the year. He's been terrible the last couple of months. He's been terrible. So that's the wrong name to bring up. If anything, you should bring up Donovan Mitchell.
Is that all we're looking at is who you could have had instead of him. It's not...
Why would you draft Jason Tatum when you were already forward rich, forward abundant before you had, even before the draft for Jason Tatum? There's no way that they were going to draft Jason Tatum, Stephen A. Smith. Come on, brother. Say something that makes sense.
It's not looking at him in a vacuum. It's looking at him, okay, you're the number 2 pick. So who did Magic Johnson pass up on to pick you?
The only person that he passed up on to pick him that would have been worth anything to the Lakers would have been Donovan Mitchell. That's it.
That's how you gauge the value of a pick. Lonzo Ball could play, but let's see what things continue. 2 other points. Number 1, let's give his daddy credit for this. On a different note, when he sat up there and refused to apologize to the president because he said the president didn't have anything to do with getting my son out of it. Right. Turns out he was right.
Of course it turned out he was right. That's the dirty little secret amongst the NBA liberal sports media, is that LaVar Ball normally turns out to be right. He was the one who made waves about a month and a half ago when he talked about how he wanted to start his own intermediate league for high school players to come participate in, as opposed to going to the NCAA because the NCAA was corrupt. All these sports talk heads, they claim that he was an idiot, that he was out of his mind, blah, blah, blah. Now, what has been the talk of the town on ESPN and Fox Sports 1 over the last 2 weeks? How corrupt the NCAAs are and how the NBA should get involved and raise the salary of the G League, so on and so forth. So they approved of the message, they just did not like the messenger.
Let's give credit where credit is due to LaVar Ball on that because he was right. All of us were wrong because he evidently knew stuff that we didn't know. So let's give him credit for that.
Well, look, I was on record as stating when that story first came out that if I was LaVar, all I would have said was thank you to everyone who sincerely wanted to help me and my sons. To me, that's all he had to say. But LaVar Ball is his own man. He decided to represent himself and express himself in his own way, and he ended up being correct. Because LaVar is very astute, and he's far more intelligent than people like to give him credit for because of the way that he chooses to express himself. Once again, there is a war on the alpha male. There's a war against the patriarchy. Whenever you have a man like him who is not going to conform, they're going to try to create a problem for him because they just don't like that image. Please keep in mind that you have so-called alpha females like Kevin Durant's mother and LeBron James's mother that they allow to engage in whatever attention mongering they like. But when it comes to LaVar Ball, there's always an issue.
He deserves it. That's point number one. Point number two don't matter because I forgot. Go
Well, point number two is he's right. His son can play. The only question with Lonzo is, will the shot fall consistently? I'm here to tell you, if it does, that was the right pick, Stephen.
But you know what?
Absolutely. Thank you, Max Kellerman. And Max Kellerman has had a greater understanding of this situation from the start. He's never been offended by LaVar Ball. Why is that? Because Max Kellerman is raised in a culture where they grasp that the man is supposed to be the head. Many so-called black men have an issue with LaVar Ball. When I say many, I don't mean most. I mean a sizable amount. Because many black males are raised in matriarchal environments with all that chaotic energy filled with confusion that you get in homes that are dominated by the feminine energy.
What? Even if the shot, as far as I'm concerned, if the shot falls, but he still goes out there and is content taking 5 or 6 shots a game, that's not good enough.
His team is winning. It doesn't matter.
Thank you, Max Kellerman. Nobody had quibbles when Jason Kidd was going out there shooting 2 for 11 as long as his team won. All we heard was, oh, Jason Kidd had another triple-double, 10 points, 12 assists, 11 rebounds.
Say that, but how successful would they be if you're aggressive as a point guard?
All right,
What is his role, though, Stephen A? Why do you keep trying to argue about shit that you don't even know? Have you called up Luke Walton and asked him, do you want Lonzo to be more aggressive, or do you like how he's playing right now? Come on, brother. You got to inform yourself so that you can inform the viewer properly.
We got to go. Lonzo, Ben Simmons, only rookies averaging 7 rebounds, 7 assists per game.
There you go. And Ben Simmons is not even a real rookie. But anyway, peace.